Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope you all are doing really well out there today. I'm doing great. We're going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to do an actual comparison side-by-side video, right? So hear me out. My editing skills are terrible. I'll tell you that straight up. My editing skills are not great. This is my first time to try a side-by-side video. I think it came out pretty good, but obviously you guys will let me know for sure. But anyways, the comparison video is going to be between, we have on the left-hand side here, Mortal Kombat, the original Sega Genesis version, and then on the right hand side we have Mortal Kombat, the arcade edition, which was another version they did a little bit later. Someone took the game, enhanced it, enhanced the graphics, enhanced the sound, enhanced the overall quality of the game, in my personal opinion. But what I want you guys to do is just watch the video and take in everything. Watch the backgrounds between the two games. Watch or listen to the sounds. I'm gonna have both of them kind of playing at the same time, so just kind of carefully listen to the sounds. Again, look at the visuals, the sounds, the overall quality of the game. The gameplay is a tiny bit different, very minimal, but there is a little bit of differences in the actual gameplay. But overall, that's the big thing. Is just take in what you can, and give me your actual opinion of the games. Personally, spoiler alert, right? Spoiler alert. Personally, my favorite version of Mortal Kombat for the Sega Genesis is the newer Mortal Kombat Arcade Edition. Okay, I love it because they took the Mortal Kombat Sega Genesis game and they added to it and tweaked a few things to make it better. They made the actual fireballs and stuff, the projectiles in the game. They made the actual correct color. Like Sonya has pink rings, and Johnny Cage has actual green fireball and a green slide kick. So they made it more accurate to the arcade. The backgrounds they did better. The actual again, like I said, I want you guys to pay attention to it, but the actual backgrounds have been redone in a good way, or not redone, but just tweaked. They've been fixed a little bit. Including stuff like Shang Tsung does the clapping now. Whenever you beat your opponent in the throne room, or when you beat them out in the courtyard, Shang Tsung and the monks will actually clap, and you can hear it and see it. Pay attention to the font. The font is better on the in my opinion. Again, on the arcade edition, the font is bigger and better and bolder. Love that. But again, I want you guys to come up with your own opinion. Tell me which one's better. Don't get me wrong, this is a great version of the game. I absolutely love the original Mortal Kombat for Sega Genesis. Grew up playing this, right? So back in the day, to me, it was everything. It was an amazing version of the game. But whereas this one I discovered more recently, and I still love this game, but I'm glad that they tweaked some of the things from this game to make it that much better, right? So yeah, that being said, guys, pay attention to the sights, the sounds, all that good stuff. And we'll get started here in just a moment. One thing to note, I'm not going to be doing any commentating in the video. I just want you guys to see it side by side. So because of that, I'm going to go and tell you right now, on the left-hand side when you're watching it, that will be the actual arcade edition. And on the right-hand side, that will be the original Sega Genesis version. So anyways, guys, without further ado, let's get started. I hope you enjoy the video. Please leave your comments at the end, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, everyone. So I know I mentioned in the first part of this video that I wasn't going to be doing that I was just going to be doing the game sounds. Well, this is just another version of the video where I can actually kind of go through some of the stuff with you as well, and just talk about the differences. So first of all, a lot of this looks the same. There's a couple different things on the arcade edition you may have noticed, and on the Genesis version. You'll see right here where it talks about the winning streak. The actual font is a little bit different. And it looks pretty cool. I do like the arcade version better. And same thing with this Johnny Cage. He actually says the name on the arcade version, and it actually has a better picture of him. So I thought that was pretty cool. And this is just a demo. This is right now. I haven't started the game yet. This is just a demonstration of them, what it looks like. You can see Johnny Cage already on the left-hand side, the arcade edition, showing the actual colors of the fireballs and the slide kick the way it should be. Right here, Goro on the arcade edition does actually growl when it shows the screen, whereas on the right-hand side, the Sega Genesis version does not. So, you know what, guys? From now on, I'm just going to say left and right. Left being the arcade edition, right side being the original Sega Genesis version. So that way, I'm not just having to say so much as I go through each part of this commentary. So again, just another kind of demo screen. As you guys can see here, shows you some of the. On the left side, you'll see some of the actual updates to the Goro stage and whatnot. On the winning streak here, guys, you may not notice, but the first 3 or 4 guys on the left-hand side is the actual guys who helped create the arcade edition, who added more content to the Sega Genesis game. Again, another demo. And after this demo right here, we should be getting started. You may notice a little bit of stopping and starting here and there. That's just me trying to edit it to where they're kind of in line with each other. So no big deal there. Dip switches is the same thing as the cheats that we enabled. Primarily, there's a few differences in it. As you guys can see, I'm going to turn off all the bonus stages. I don't like messing with those. But other than that, I didn't really change anything in this screen. Options mode, I put it on medium for both versions. And we got started. And look at already the profile pictures, guys. Look at how different they are behind the actual character faces. You can see a little bit of differences, and it looks better on the left side. There, I'm going to go ahead and let the whole... I don't know if you noticed or not, but I did change to where the battle plan was also the exact same under that the cheat menu. So, as you see, it's going to be the exact same people I'm fighting throughout the game. Okay, right off. Courtyard, right? Left-hand side, you've got the look at the background. You can actually see some of the differences in the way the actual, I guess the actual, I don't know what you call it. Just the stand back there where it shows the actual rails coming down. Stage looks different. That's all I'm trying to say. But for the better, in my opinion. And the monks look a little bit bigger on the right-hand side than they do on the left-hand side. They've kind of adjusted that. But it looks more full on the left-hand side. So you can also see Shang Tsung's body more full on the left-hand side as well. The colors are different. You can see the blue. It's kind of a darker blue on left than on right side. I like it. Looks great. Of course, the clapping is there if you've watched the sound version of the video. This is kind of weird. So if you look on the right-hand side, it's centered. The statue is centered in the background, whereas on the left-hand side, the statue's off a little bit, like when you first start the round. Of course, as you're moving throughout the round, it's different, but I do still like left better. I like the clouds they added in. I like the fact that the building isn't quite as big. It's actually a little bit smaller, if you'll notice that, the little kind of building in the background. Has the flames lit up. I'm not 100%. I didn't see just now if the flames are lit up on the right-hand side or if it's just the flames are lit on the left side, as you see right there, the flames. Okay, yeah, there you go. It's very obvious now. The flame is on the left side, and the flame is not on the right side. But looks great. Absolutely beautiful. It's hard to call everything out, guys. I'm doing my best, but it's hard to call every single thing out. But, yeah, it does look really, really good. They both do. Back in the day, on the right-hand side, the original Sega Genesis version was, hey, I couldn't think it could look any better. It looked great to me, so I was very impressed with that. On this stage, I don't think you see it right away, but I do at some point go all the way to the left side, and you can see the statues are actually a different order. I think Liu Kang is beside Goro, and you got Sub-Zero beside the Goro on the right side, whereas Sub-Zero is all the way over to the left on the left side. That's a lot to take in, guys. I apologize. Anyways, the statues are in different placement. There's more detail. You have the moon in the background on left. You know, the columns are a little bit... the columns are pretty much the same. I will say, though, the actual statue characters look a little bit more smooth on left as well. They don't look quite as rough. Okay, the pit looks very similar to each other. So you'll notice that the pit, the front of the pit, like the actual stand that they're on, is a little bit different. But other than that, there's not a huge difference between the two. You know, the stage is a very pretty plain stage, so it didn't really require a lot of work to be done to it. Now, that being said, when you watch the lower part of the pit, I'm gonna do some uppercuts on both of these playthroughs. And at the lower part of the pit, on the right-hand side, the original Sega Genesis version, there's nothing down there. On the left side, when he does the uppercut here, okay, so there's the right-hand side. See, nothing down there. Left-hand side does the same thing. You've got your bodies like you do in the arcade. You've got the blood-tipped spikes down there. It's much more like the arcade version, which I love. That's the way it should be. Here is the throne room. You'll notice right off the bat the color difference. Definitely lighter blues on left than on right. other than that, there's not a ton of differences. Maybe a few minor differences here and there. The big thing is, once you win a round, you can already see it on the left side, Shang Tsung will clap. See, there he goes. He's clapping right now. Whereas on right side, he will not. And the way it's supposed to be is he's supposed to be clapping. So the left-hand side is correct. Right-hand side is not correct. To the when you talk about comparing to the arcade version. I hadn't really discussed the health bars at all, really, but health bars are very similar. You can see that the actual score is a different spot, and where it says press starts, and actually above. They're both above instead of below, but still looks good. Again, most of the stuff that was changed in here for the arcade version, on the left side, is to make it closer to the actual arcade version of the game. You can see the skeleton has like some red blood where his hands end at. You can see bones down in front also on the left-hand side. And the background on left, they make it look, I think they try to give it a little bit more depth by changing the color back there and pushing the caves kind of further back. So I do like that better. It does. I think it does kind of fit the arcade version a little bit closer. I will say it's probably not, I don't know if the color is exactly right, but it's, I think it looks great overall. This stage, you can also see my point about the fatalities. So, for some reason, they didn't make it as dark on the arcade edition. They made it a little bit lighter, in fact. I don't know why they did that. I would have preferred them kept it the way the right-hand side was, where it was just a darker, like when you do your fatality, the screen darkens and stays that way. Whereas on the left-hand side, again, it doesn't darken a lot. It darkens a little bit. Kind of has a pinkish hue to it. But it would have been nicer if they just kept that darkness. I don't know if you saw it or not, but whenever you Kano, also his projectiles are also better. He player 2 has the green projectile, his sword or his whatever knife, sword, whatever, and player 1 has the blue. Whereas I believe, I'm not sure if I've seen it yet on the right hand side, but I think on the right hand side it's just the, just the regular like kind of like white knives, just kind of matching like Johnny Cage's white fireballs, Sonya's kind of beigeish rings. So it's really good. All I'm trying to get at is it's really good that they actually corrected the colors for the projectiles in the game, which you'll see the further along we get in the game. You can't see it, but whenever Kano does the heart pull, the heart actually beats. In most cases, the heart will actually beat on left hand side, whereas right hand side it won't beat. He'll just hold it and won't do any beating or anything. Again, the stage looks beautiful on left-hand side. Right-hand side still looks good, just not quite as detailed. They definitely detailed it out for the arcade edition, arcade version, whatever. And I don't know if you noticed or not earlier. There you go again. Johnny Cage is throwing his white fireballs on the right-hand side, whereas on left he will throw the green, and he'll do the green shadow kick as well, which is pretty cool. Very nice. That is, believe it or not, it may seem like a small thing, but to me that's a pretty big deal that they updated the actual colors in many cases. It's really, really good. There you go. So yeah, you can see it's a little bit darker on the right side and not the fatality on the left side. And it just, like I said, it's a little bit dark still, but it's just got more of a pinkish kind of hue to it. I don't know. I'm not really feeling that a whole lot, to be honest with you. I haven't talked about it yet either, but you can notice, like, whenever it comes time to finish someone, and, you beat them, and it shows, like, the vitals and all that, and the time score, it's cool that it shows it, like, in a bigger font, or it says fatality. It shows it in a bigger font on the left-hand side. I really like that. I'm glad that they fixed that. On the right-hand side, it just doesn't look like much. It looks kind of boring. It just shows it in regular small fonts, and even where it says fatality, same way. So you see that small font on the right-hand side. It just doesn't really pop. Like, here we go on the left-hand side, you'll see it. See, it says time, and it says flawless victory. It just pops better. I just love it. I feel like that's the way it should be. A lot of colors have been corrected. Even Liu Kang's fireball looks a little bit darker. More, I don't know, just better on the left-hand side than it does on the right-hand side. I'm a little bit behind on the left-hand side. Like I said, if you see kind of weird pauses in the game, that's just because on one side or the other, I paused it so the other side could catch up at least close. I didn't catch them up perfectly, but I tried to get them pretty close. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Also, in the ninjas, like Sub-Zero, when he's laying on the ground, we just killed him or knocked him out or whatever, he has still kind of a blue tint to his body where his arms are at. Whereas they kind of color corrected that on the arcade edition here. Let's see if you can give an example, if he'll stay down long enough. But on the right-hand side, when you see him lay down for a second, you can see the blood, you can see the blue on his arm, whereas on the left-hand side, you can still see the actual white of his arm. And there's Sonya's beautiful pink rings I love. Glad they did that, as opposed to those beige ones on the right-hand side. Oh, the colors, man. They did a great job. That's what gets me the most, I think, is the colors and the additions to the arcade, to the arcade version. And I do apologize. The screens aren't very level either. It's hard to, me being new at what I'm doing with the, in the iMovie thing, it was hard for me to kind of do all this together and get it correct, but I did the best I could. You can even notice that Sonya is also a brighter green on the right side and kind of the more darker, I think probably true to the arcade version on the left-hand side. I love the fact that I can make short work of Goro on these versions. He just, first of all, as I mentioned several times, when you hit him, it does the same amount of damage as it does to everybody else. And also, he's just a sucker for those jump kicks and projectiles. So I play on that a lot. Good. Here we go. Now we're at Shang Tsung. For some reason, on the arcade edition, Reptile falls down and does the hint about 95% of the time at Shang Tsung. I don't know why, but it's just where it happens at. It's kind of crazy. Happens on almost all my playthroughs. Whereas on the right-hand side, it's a little bit more rare. It doesn't really happen a whole lot. All right, so you'll notice a pause on the right-hand side because, again, that's where this game ends at. But on this version, if you beat the game without continuing, you also get to fight Ermac at the very end on the left side. So that's how the arcade version is set up. I know, obviously, that's not arcade. That never happened in the actual arcade version, but it's cool they add a little something extra just for beating the game without continuing. And Ermac in this version that I have, I've heard he does some different moves in maybe different versions of this particular game, but on this one I have, which is I believe was it 1.5? I think I can't remember. Anyways, on this version, he does the same moves as Reptile. I think he's basically the exact same as Reptile, except he's red. So that's pretty much the only difference. And he's the only one I didn't get to do my Fatality to that I was able to do it to. Just because he froze me right there at the end there. I didn't have time. But so this is kind of cool what's coming up. So you're going to look at Kano's endings, and you're going to see where on the right-hand side, the Sega Genesis, for whatever reason, when it originally came out, had a different photo for him. On the left-hand side, they corrected that in the arcade edition. They actually put up the photos that it's supposed to be to match the actual arcade version of the game. So it's kind of cool they fixed that as well. Same dialogue, I'm pretty sure the exact same wording. But pretty cool. I like that they fixed that. That's very interesting. Well, it's interesting to figure out. I wonder why they didn't do it to begin with. I have no idea. And here we go, just going through the characters. You can definitely see the differences in the background. You've got the columns back there with the flames. You've got the smoothed out looking statues. And of course, the statue order was different. It had Liu Kang instead of Sub-Zero there on the right-hand side. And this stage is
probably one of the most obvious as far as having the differences. And then we go to the pit, which really doesn't look a whole lot different. Again, up front, it looks a little bit different, but for the most part, it's the same stage. Now, the way this video recorded, for some reason, it's going to cut off the. I think it's going to cut off the right-hand side one, the actual Sega Genesis version, and full screen the arcade edition, which is fine. I don't know why. It's something to do with space. Whenever I did the side-by-side of these when I was doing it in the iMovie, I don't know what happened. But anyways, either way, it's probably better that it shows the whole thing of this one anyways, because you're going to get to see the actual people who worked on the arcade edition of this. And again, hats off to those guys. Here they are right here. They did a great job. I'm very impressed with all the additions they did, the color corrections, just everything they did with the game. Did such a great job with it. Anyways, thanks guys. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.